Hello, chess players. Many a times we can solve hard puzzles, but whenever similar position occurs in our game, we might not be able to realize the solution. Therefore, it's not about puzzle only, but also to have understanding of move sequence that brought us to the winning position. Here is the today's position. We are going to do the same. We will begin with important positional observations of the puzzle in terms of pros and cons. We are playing as a black color. We have played castling on the king side and it is quite safe, but the fianchetto bishop is absent here. Our queen is active and eyeing on the opponent's castling structure. Both the knights are in the opponent's territory. So this is the opponent's territory. And one of the knight is in the opponent's king's quadrant. Now, let me draw you the square for the quadrant. So, one-fourth part of the board is known as the quadrant, and wherever the king is tight, that is called king's quadrant. Rook c8 is on the open file, whereas or another rook on e8 is not active. Now, let us see the another side of the board. White has played castling on the king side, but the king is directly attacked by our three pieces, one queen and two knights. No pieces in the king's quadrant. I just explained what is the meaning of king's quadrant. There is no pieces on the king's quadrant, especially knight f3 is also absent, and that is weakening the king structure. White queen is on the open file but away from the active area. Both the rooks a1 and d1 are on the closed file and are not active. Opponent bishop and knight, they are active but they are far away from the active area. Now pause the video and try to find the sequence of moves that will lead to winning position in this game. You can also write your moves in the comment box. Alright, if you found knight f2, amazing. This offering free knight to execute tactics because after king capture knight, it will be queen capture pawn, check, it's a skewer, and after the king moves, we can get free queen. So after knight f2, in case queen capture knight, then it will be knight capture h3 check, fork, and we will win queen. So after knight f2, the only best response from the white side is g4. A really good move and stopping the checkmate plan. Queen h4, creating more attack. Knight capture rook, which is blunder. Queen g3 check. King is forced to move on f1 square. Knight capture h3 pawn and also threatening mate on g1 square. Queen g2. Queen capture queen check. King is forced to move e1 and queen f2 checkmate. Now you see, it's very easy to solve any position if we observe the board properly using the positional observation technique. We have solved this tricky position, but it is important to know how we arrived at this situation. Therefore, let's begin from the starting. Game started with pawn d4, knight f6, Indian defense, controlling squares, pawn c4, white is gaining the center control, pawn g6, opening our bishop square, knight c3, knight opposite knight, and white is developing minor piece, controlling two center squares, bishop g7, developing a minor piece and preparing for kingside castling, pawn e4, white is gaining the center and threatening pawn e5 next. So pawn d6, stopping pawn e5 threat and opening our bishop. Knight f3, white is developing a minor piece and attacking on center squares. Castling to increase the king's safety. Bishop e2, white is preparing for the kingside castling. Pawn c6, controlling center square d5. White is playing castling to increase the king's safety. Bishop g4, developing our minor piece and that is 2 in the opponent's area. Bishop e3, white is developing their last minor piece and controlling center square d4. Knight bd7, we are also developing our last minor piece, also controlling center square e5 and preparing for rook c8. Now we are entering into the middle game. Pawn s3, attacking on our bishop. Bishop takes knight, removing the knight from the best square. Bishop takes back. Pawn s6, preparing for b5. So here we are playing on queen side so that we can relieve some pressure from this king attack. Pawn f4, not allowing to play. Pawn b5. Pawn f5, stopping opponent's plan. Pawn f5, bishop back to e2. Pawn e5, taking initiative to break the center. Queen d2, preparing bishop queen battery, eyeing on h6 square. Rook e8. So our idea is after pawn takes pawn, we might be able to get free pawn on e4 square. Pawn d5, avoiding pawn trade and attacking our pawn. Knight c5, improving our knight position and also attacking on the weakness e4 square. Queen c2, opponent is also defending center square. E4 with knight and queen. Pawn takes pawn, preparing to open rook file. Pawn takes back. Rook c8, developing our rook and opening our rook on the open file. Pawn f3, white is threatening the center squares and creating a pawn chain. Knight h5, improving our pieces in the opponent's area, giving space for our queen on h4. Rook f to c1, getting rook queen battery on c file. Bishop f6, improving our bishop. Knight b5. So here white is entering the pieces in our territory and also eyeing on our weak square d6. Bishop to g5, offering bishop trade so that we can get our queen in the opponent's area. Bishop takes, queen capture back. So we have get our queen on the king side and now we are eyeing on the opponent's king structure. Bishop c4, developing a bishop and also giving support on g2 via queen. Knight f4, activating our knight and improving in the opponent's area. Here we have placed our knight in the king's quadrant. King's quadrant means this blue square. Knight captured d6, creating a fork. Now rook comes to d1, creating two attackers on our knight. We have only one backup. And here we arrived at our position. Knight f2, preparing checkmate plan, isolating queen from f2 square. Pawn g4, queen to h4, preparing checkmate plan. Knight capture rook was blunder. Queen g3 check, king is forced to move on f1 square. Knight capture h3, again preparing checkmate plan. White is trying to defend checkmate via queen g2, but no use. Queen capture queen check. Again king is forced to move on e1 square and queen f2 checkmate. Remember that our aim is not to keep all the moves in our mind, but understanding of piece placement and coordination of pieces are important. I have shared PGN file in the description box. Now, let me show you the position for the next video. So, here is the position for the next video on your screen. Here, we are playing as a white and we have to solve this puzzle. We will also discuss in detail in our next video. And stay tuned for the upcoming videos. I hope you have learned something new today. Thanks for watching.